I'd be interested in learning more about how to manage some of the risks in order to make this happen. And so the two that come to mind are privacy and then also cybersecurity.
Yeah, that's a really great question, both in terms of the data as well as the technology platforms, to your point. So privacy, one of the things that we really talked about today in the summit was being able to put an advisory board together as far as governance and privacy and ethical practice is concerned, because we need to have an understanding of the different populations that are involved and the different data that are involved so that we can make the right decisions according to what we decide as an organization we want to have as our ethical practice, that are going to drive our privacy guidelines and make sure that we're within compliance and regulatory depending on what industry we're in, what sector we're in, where we are in the world, and what populations we're applying data analytics to. As far as the technology is concerned, the same idea around the technology, and what often comes up actually when we're talking about technology, and of course what's been in the news a lot lately, has to do with things like fairness and making sure that things are not biased and things like artificial intelligence. So those are also areas that we have to participate in. These are not conversations that can happen outside of us as learning leaders. We need to be engaged in even driving those conversations within our organizations, because what is bias? And of course there are a bunch of known different types of biases that can be introduced into artificial intelligence. What are they? What in a particular initiative that we're working on, what are the ones that are most likely to happen? What is the team that you're working with in order to develop that AI technology or to develop those algorithms that are then being mediated by AI? What are the potential biases or unfairness that might apply or show up or be at risk in that particular initiative, in that particular project? Because that's a broad scope. And as much as we may think that bias and fairness in our minds is the same as everybody, that it's a common understanding, it's not. And of course, we're going to have some practices that are going to vary in different parts of the world. So we really need to not only be participating in those conversations, but leading those conversations. As far as the cybersecurity is concerned, there are two things that are happening in cybersecurity right now. The first thing is it's going to happen and it's going to escalate. So the problem is that our technology systems are vulnerable. We can see that there's technology breaches that are happening in the headlines every day. We just had the Equifax, challenge that just came to pass. And so again, this is another area where we can't just sit back and say, well, this is somebody else's problem. We have to expect that there's risk there and that we need to have a risk strategy that is addressing the specific thing that we're trying to do with the technologies that we're trying to leverage, the technologies that we're trying to use. The second piece on that is that the number one risk in any cybersecurity strategy is people. You can have the best system in the world, but if you've got human beings that are clever in the way that it is that they do a workaround, or somebody, has information that they've accidentally given away, either with intent or, unknowingly, that's a problem. And so then part of that goes back to education and training and people having a level of awareness across your organization, at all levels of your organization, of what their responsibilities are in being able to keep everybody safe. What does that look like? What does that mean? How is that practiced? That's the number one vulnerability in cybersecurity today. And if we as the people side of the business pay attention to the people, and how do we make sure that we're on message and that we're providing people with experiences to help them connect with why that really matters and how that's important, again, keeping ourselves and the organization safe, then that's a way of really being able to compel people to action to mitigate against those risks.